Former.Atmore Mayor Howard Shell stepped down last year after serving in city government for 4 decades.
Initially, he had no interest in politics, having just retired from a career with Monsanto. But once he got in office, Shell says he loved being a part of working with people and helping them.
Shell recently sat down with our Eric Reynolds to talk about his time in politics and what prepared him to serve. Here's the interview.
One of the fellows that had a business in town, he says, "We'd like for you to run." And I says, "No way." I said, "I'm not interested in politics at all." And I had never made a public speech or address before. Standing up in front of a crowd, oh, sweat would pop out on me. They finally talked me into it, and as soon as I qualified, 3 other people qualified in the same position, and so there I was.
Howard Shell won that first election to City Council in 1984. He was appointed to his first term as mayor in 1986, and for nearly 30 years, Shell was a constant in Atmore city government. Last year, he decided not to run again. Shell stepped down and helped another candidate win the mayor's race. He believes one of the things that prepared him for politics was his time in the Navy during the Korean War.
It took you out of a small town atmosphere. I was associated with people all over the world, different cultures, different races, and learned to get along with people. I will work just as hard.
Shell drew on another life experience to tackle what he calls one of the toughest challenges of small town government.
I grew up in a small town grocery store. My dad owned it, and I learned early on about the budget process of how we had to be very careful with the funds that we got on what we could buy, how to allocate the funds. With a small town, you never have enough money. You just have to learn to watch your pennies. You have to start establishing priorities on which hole do you fill first? That's what made it so interesting, was seeing where the funds come from. The business people of the town are the ones that really keep the town going. They're the providers of the revenue.
He also believed there was benefit in getting input.
I learned early on that the best thing I could do was involve myself with people that knew more than I did and get some ideas from them. An elected official, sooner or later, he's got to come to grips with himself that I can do this job a lot better if I realize I do not know all the answers. You talk to people and you listen to what they're saying.
Many of them would be talking about employment opportunities.
You always want jobs for you people. Being able to bring jobs to town and have opportunities for them has been a challenge. We had some very tough times. Kmart closed, Vanity Fair downsized and closed and left. If the city of Atmore was going to move forward or survive, that we had to take some initiatives and do things a little different out of the box. So we decided if we purchased some property out at the interstate and developed it, we could increase our tax base.
The city bought more than 600 acres and annexed what they named the River Cane development.
We took a deep breath and borrowed a lot of money and began to develop it. We were getting calls from major motels, restaurants, and other things wanting to know, when you gonna be ready, when you gonna be ready. When Wall Street tumbled, then everything kind of stopped and slowed down.
But city leaders did not abandon River Cane. They stayed the course as it slowly developed. Shell calls it his biggest accomplishment as mayor.
We got Holiday Inn come in, we got Hardee's Inn, McDonald's, Waffle House, Hampton Inn. We're just a little bit short of being able to generate enough revenue from River Cane to service the entire city debt.
Another economic boom happened in 2009. The porch band of Creek Indians' Wind Creek Casino brought more jobs and tough choices.
There is a disadvantage to people that cannot afford to be out there to begin with, but I can't control that. You make the very best of a situation that you've been dealt. They were given an opportunity to do something that they felt like would be good for their people, and they have made it a very profitable operation. Everything that Wind Creek does is a plus.
April 26th and 27th at Wind Creek in Atmore, Alabama.
I was in Atlanta, a commercial come on, and it was an advertisement for Wind Creek, but they were saying Atmore, Alabama. You can't buy publicity like that.
The former mayor admits that he does miss being in office, but Shell says it was time to make a decision.
I turned 80 years old at my last birthday. It was time to step back and let some younger people come in. A new, fresh blood would be good. I told him, I says, I'll be out on Medical Park Drive. If you need me, call me.
In Atmore, Eric Reynolds, Fox 10 News.
Shell is spending more time with his biggest supporter and wife of 62 years, Nanette, as they travel the country visiting their family and gardening when they're home.
Shell also says that Atmore is prepared for future economic growth if Airbus expansion is needed. Before Bob Riley left the governor's office, he helped the city annex another 8,000 acres between Interstate 65 and Holman Prison.